Hi, this is Dr. MJ coming to you from beautiful Boston, Massachusetts. This is the Women in Dentistry podcast, where we feature women in dentistry making waves and leading the industry through the next decade. I am your host, Dr. Mary Jane Hanlon, a former dental assistant, dental hygienist, and now dentist. I'm very pleased to introduce you today to Ms. Caitlin Parsons. Caitlin is a registered dental hygienist with 15 years of experience, is now a certified yoga therapist, ergonomic consultant, and the founder of the Aligned Hygienist. She helps dental professionals and dental teams prevent and manage workplace pain, stress, and overall health, supporting their well-being and practice growth through various channels such as in-person and online programs, speaking engagements, writing team experiences, and her podcast, The Aligned Hygienist. It is now my pleasure to bring you to my interview with Miss Caitlin Parsons.
Oh, Caitlin, it's so exciting to have you on the show today. I have been introduced to you through a mutual friend, Deb Carrier, who I just love, and I love what she's done with her career. And I'm excited to learn about yours and where you have been in dentistry, how you got involved. And so just start by telling us a little bit about your story.
Yeah, well, my name is Caitlin Parsons. I've been a practicing hygienist for 15 years. Now I'm an ergonomics consultant and yoga therapist, the founder of the Aligned Hygienist. Really passionate about helping dental professionals feel good body, mind, and energy, and truly thrive in dentistry. But it didn't start out that way at all. So I got into dental hygiene kind of randomly. I didn't have someone in dentistry in my family. In fact, I was actually the first in my of the grandchildren to actually graduate from college. And I knew I wanted to do healthcare. I knew I wanted to work with people. And I must have been like a junior in high school and just went to the dentist, and the hygienist started talking to me about what I might want to do. And she turned me on to dental hygiene. And so I shadowed her and just decided that I think it would be a good fit. And there was also my dad in the background saying this would be a great steady job. You can have a family. And so I didn't come into it with this passion or this obsession with teeth that some people do. It just kind of naturally happened. And I went right from high school, graduated high school, and then went right into my dental hygiene program. So I was 18 when I started my hygiene program. I ended up going to the University of New England. And I just even think about the process of applying for schools and like the stress of that and where would I want to go. I loved my program. It was great. I graduated with just an associate's because I had $50,000 of debt or something, and I just wanted to get out and work. And I temped a little bit. I met a few like unicorn people along the way that just kind of helped me become a little bit better and more confident, or introduced me to someone that ended up being my first job. Like it just naturally happened. So I worked at a big group practice when I first started for 3 years in Massachusetts. And within 1 year of practicing as a dental hygienist, I had multiple areas of chronic and acute pain. I had neck and shoulder pain. I had lower back pain. And like most of us in dentistry, first of all, I felt alone. I wasn't connected to a community of dental professionals, which is one thing that I would definitely do over. And so I got to a really big low. I started at the age of 22, looking into disability, looking into alternative careers. Should I go get my bachelor's? Like, what am I going to do for the rest of my life if I'm already in pain? And at that point, I started realizing that I wasn't the only one in pain, because I thought I was. Started to read some of the studies and ended up randomly getting into yoga, like the opposite of what I teach now. But I started going to hot yoga classes. And after a few, I will never forget being in Op 5 and being like, I feel a little bit better, but there has to be something that's specific to the work that we do, some sort of yoga that's, therapeutic. I didn't even know what I was looking up, but I started Googling, and there was nothing out there. And there was just yoga being taught to dental professionals, but nothing really specific. So it really just became my mission. It became really clear that that was my duty to first understand and heal my own pain, if that was possible, and then find a way to build resources and tools and an understanding to help other dental professionals do the same. So that led me from my practice in Massachusetts. I quit my job, did my first yoga teacher training in Vermont, and then I moved across the country because I just knew that they were more innovative, and did my second yoga teacher training, an advanced one based on therapeutics, and got really into posture and the way that we moved our body and how yoga can help. And then at that same time, when I moved to California, I was also getting my hygiene license, which took a long time. And while I was waiting for that, I was working the front desk of an office and got carpal tunnel really badly, and so bad that I couldn't open my hand. I had pain. It was inflamed. It was like all of the symptoms. And I will never forget the day I went to the doctor and they gave me two options. Here's a prescription for pain medicine, and here is a referral for a surgeon if you need that. And I just looked at her like, those are my options. I'm 24 years old and I might get surgery on my hand. I'm like, no, at that point, I was just starting to get more of an understanding on therapeutic yoga. So I'm like, the heck with this. I'll keep these, but like that's last case scenario. And I just really dedicated myself to healing my own pain in that area too. And within a few weeks, it got better. Within like 6 to 8 weeks, it was pretty much fully resolved. And that really got me really excited to do a yoga therapy program. So no joke, within a week of me getting my actual hygiene license officially in California, I got an email that a yoga studio 2 miles down the street from my house was opening San Diego's first ever yoga therapy program. So I was like the second person to enroll, went through a 4-year program, and really just got tools for me, started teaching classes, started working with, I say regular people, but like people that are working at desk. I worked with a lot of engineers and started just understanding ergonomics, posture, pain, how to help people from that kind of lens. Always knowing that I wanted to come back to dentistry, but it felt really, really daunting. So I was working 4 days a week for a long time. And then as I started to build my business of yoga therapy, and as I became a yoga therapist, I went down slowly, 3 days, 3.5, 2 days. And yeah, that's kind of my journey. And I realized during it, when I started to feel better, that there was one point where I realized the first half, or now it's like the first quarter or third of my career, when I was in pain, stressed out, overwhelmed, I was a very different dental hygienist than the one that I was when I felt good, when I felt good in my body, when I knew how to take care of myself, when I prioritized myself most of the time, less stress. And I was just my patient communication, my patient education, like everything completely changed. And there was just something there that if so many of us are experiencing pain, imagine the level of care our patients could get when we all feel good, when we know how to take care of ourselves. So that's kind of my mission, my journey. I will also say that when I first got into dental hygiene and started experiencing pain, a lot of it was work related, but I was also in a car accident when I was 16 and hit black ice, did all the things you're not supposed to do, car swerved. I ended up hitting a tree and a curb and flipped my car. And I came out with fairly unscathed considering what it could have been. I had a broken nose. I had to break it back into place. I had a concussion and bumps, bruises, all of that. But fast forward when I became a dental hygienist and started to take steps to feel better and started to feel a little bit better, I realized that something was missing, my neck always hurt. And so I went to a chiropractor and I saw the x-rays and tests they did, and I had no curve in my neck. My head was, I forget how many inches forward from the accident. My torso was completely twisted, like right side was in front of the left. One hip was noticeably higher than the other. And so that was a big part of my pain journey, but also my healing and recovery journey. And almost once I got to a point that I felt more comfortable, it gave me more confidence. Once I started to heal my own body and feel better, I started to learn tools to be able to take care of myself with whatever came up. So that's my journey. Very
Wow.
different hygienist, very different person at the beginning than I am now.
Wow, what a story. That is amazing. So I want to go back to one thing that you said, because I think that it's really important, and the audience, I'm sure, would appreciate this. One thing that I have seen repeatedly in medicine is the first thing they're going to do is recommend surgery and recommend a prescription. And if I never get across to people one thing, this would be the one thing that I would get across. You don't need that medication. God made our bodies to heal themselves as long as we do what the body needs. And you obviously have interpreted that, and you have found your way to figure out how to heal your body. So congratulations, number one, on that. But number two, I think it's vitally important that the listeners understand that they don't have to take those medications. I mean, they just don't. Our bodies will heal themselves if you give it the right medication. And that includes food, that includes exercise, that includes, meditation if you have the time to do it. And, I'm not always as good as I want to be about it, but I am definitely focusing my time on the meditative part of it, because I find that I feel so much better, even just taking 5 minutes to be at peace, right?
Yeah. It can literally be 2 minutes. And there's so many pieces that I want to touch on that you just shared, but just to the meditation piece, if we can feel a minute of presence, of being in our body, of feeling a little more calm. Pain and stress are directly connected in the body, right? So if we have chronic pain or acute pain, but we're also stressed and we're overwhelmed and all of those things, our pain isn't necessarily just going to go away. So we can do all of the things for our physical body, but if we're in a stressed out state, it's going to be a lot harder and take a lot longer for our body to heal. So yes, taking it's body and mind together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So right now you're not practicing at all?
I am practicing. I actually
Okay.
took 3 years off, and then about a year ago, I missed it. I love seeing my patients. I honestly probably only work 3 to 5 days a month. I found a great office near me, and yeah, I love it. And I get to go in and be like the dental hygiene superhero. Because I'm only there 3 to 5 days a month, but I show up when I do and they need help. And I love to be that.
That's awesome. Okay. So tell us one thing that people would be surprised to know about you.
I think that one thing, what first came up is that I just did a presentation last night, and I've been sharing this more and more, that I describe living in like a pain body. It is not easy for me to, I have to work to feel good. I have to work to optimize my posture, probably from my car accident, but people take a look at me and have this assumption that, I mean, my business name is also the Aligned Hygienist, but it takes a lot for me to get and stay aligned and feel good. And I always want to share that I'm doing this because I've struggled, and it's okay. And it's okay to struggle and find ways to heal. I think that's what came up.
Really great, because when you were talking, one of the things I thought back on, and I've been in a dental chair since I was 14. So a long time, over 50 years. And, I've never really had a problem with my posture, my back, or any of that pain. And I think part of that was because I was trained in hygiene school. I was also a hygienist before I became a dentist. I was trained in hygiene school, the proper way to sit in the chair. And that's with your legs parallel to the ground, your feet parallel to the ground, and your back slightly arched forward so that you have a straight back. And I remember at both Tufts and Lincoln Memorial University, where I was the clinical dean, I spent a lot of time teaching the students how to do that, because I don't think there's enough time being spent in academics on how to sit properly. And
No.
if we could just teach the students how to do it, and maybe get a program that you develop for schools would be a great idea.
That's an idea. Yep.
Yeah,
In the
just
works.
to help them.
Yeah, there's some programs. I've talked to some directors in dental programs and hygiene programs that nail it with ergonomics. Like they go above and beyond. The students are getting graded. They take photos of the students and then they like show them so they can learn as they go. And then for me, I remember maybe an hour class on ergonomics in my hygiene program. And that's a big difference. If you are every day, you're in clinic or on a weekly basis being reminded of your posture and you're learning it more often, it's going to stick and become a habit like you. Where for me, I already had bad posture. I already had misalignment and I didn't get that course correction over time. So many of us get out of school, dental or hygiene school, and we're thrown to the wolves for the most part, right? We have a full schedule. We're now managing patients. It's a lot different than it is in school. And so if we don't have that muscle memory and that habit built into our body, it is gone for the most part. And we have to really work hard at it. Yeah, that's one thing that I've kind of developed a outline of a program for schools for dental and hygiene because it is needed. And I feel for the programs because they don't have, they have a certain amount that they have to get through and ergonomics isn't the top priority. However, it needs to be. So we need more resources from school all the way through seasoned dental professionals, I think.
Well, I think one of the ways that you can attack that, and maybe we can talk about this offline, is just being there for the faculty, because the faculty need to be the ones that are saying it every single day.
Mm-hmm.
I remember Barbara Schultz. She would come behind me, she'd tap me in the back, and I would straighten my back. Yeah. And it was the constant reminder, as you said, of her telling me or touching me to make my back straight that helped me spend over 50 years in the career without having any problems whatsoever. And I know that so many are more like you, where, I mean, I'm shocked to see that at 24, you had carpal tunnel. I had my issues with carpal tunnel as a hygienist as well, but, never had an issue with it in dentistry when I was doing with a drill or holding a mirror. I never had any issues with it. So I feel like I'm very fortunate. So as I explained to you earlier, one of the reasons why I started this podcast was to instill confidence or help young women who are trying to thinking about getting into the profession or who are already in the profession and want to grow into the profession, gain the confidence to do that. So in your lifetime, when you reflect back, were you always a confident woman? If not, what was it that happened to you that helped you instill the confidence that you needed to get to where you are?
No, I was not confident. I was shy. I was a people pleaser. I was empathetic. I wanted to make my patients feel better. I wanted to make everyone else feel better, that I didn't focus on myself for a really long time, to be honest. But so when I got out of dental hygiene school, it was challenging. And like I said at the beginning, I had a few angels, like a friend of a family, friend of a friend, that were in the dental profession that really helped me. Like one dental hygienist, she was a friend of my dad's, and she brought me in with her son right when I graduated into their office and like showed me everything, let me clean her and her son's teeth, and like ran through different tips and recommendations. And it sounds so small, but it was like, that was so helpful. And there was just multiple people along the way that I didn't have to say yes to. I actually felt really uncomfortable and almost canceled on that lady because I was like, do I need this? And also like, I don't know what to do. I feel weird and all the things that might go through our head. But I showed up anyway. And those things I think were really monumental in helping me progress and helping me feel more confident and gain the skills. So that's one piece, having community and people around you. And now I think with social media, for the most part, that can be beneficial because there's people that will share their experience that you might be able to get support with and connect with. But having people that have been in the industry and that might lend you a hand at some point in big or small ways is huge. I think time gave me confidence, just doing it and having repetition. And another piece that comes up is I worked for a really great doctor when I moved to San Diego. I worked for him for 8 years. And when I started with him, I had like fake confidence because I had been a hygienist for 3.5 years. But when I started with him, he helped me develop those skills. He gave me, we were on Spear Education, so just learning more. And he would come in and we had a really good relationship after we kind of figured each other out that, hey, this went really well today. I loved that you said this. Let's focus on this. So he helped me kind of develop my skills. We did coaching programs through the office that really helped. And he would do something that I hated, which was have us go through different scripts. So a patient needs periodontal therapy, and we would have to go through the script as an office, not a script, but like make our own, but have it be unified, right? And he would also record us doing it. And I was like, doctor, please don't do that ever again. I hate this. But it allowed me to be like confronted with how I actually show up and just to really develop my skills. I think the more that I took care of myself, the more that I was present with myself, I think just inherently I developed better communication skills. I developed a better sense of self-worth, all of those things. So taking care of myself, having good people in the industry in your corner, working for a great supportive office doctor, if that's possible, and continuing to develop and learn new skills as a dental hygienist. I know what we learn in school is only a small piece. And the more we can grow our toolkit to support our patients, the more confident we become in supporting them.
Couldn't agree more. And please don't take this offensively, but good for that dentist to push you out of your comfort zone.
1,000%.
I find that is where we all gain confidence most, is if you're pushed out of your comfort zone and you're doing things you don't really want to do, but you have to do them because for the greater good, right? So he was doing it for the greater good of his practice, that you just become a different person and you actually do reflect back on and say, oh my God, that was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And it really was those going over the scripts and diving deeper into that once I got the hang of it and I felt okay delivering it with my patients, and then to see how the patients responded, that they were more excited about their treatment, that they understood it a lot better. I think that inherently that builds confidence, right? Seeing your patients understand, get treatment that they need and be grateful for the treatment that they received and get healthier. That's
amazing. Amazing transformation. Okay, what is the single best piece of advice you've ever received, and who gave it to you?
Oh my gosh, the best advice I ever received. I think why this came up, I don't know, but I don't even know who gave it to me. It was a coach along the way. I've done multiple coaching, like personal development things, but stay in your own lane. I think that so often, even if it's when we are a practitioner sitting in our operator chair, I don't know how many times I would listen to what someone else is saying or doing and not necessarily like, oh, I love that. I actually want to incorporate that in, but like getting overwhelmed by what other people are doing, or even me building my business. It's very easy for me to look out, and it was very easy for me to not take steps towards really my mission and my business because other people are doing it or looking at like maybe it's not needed. The more that we can stay in our own lane and just take care of ourselves, focus on us and our mission or our goal, I think the better we become, because there will always be people doing and saying things around us, and it can feel really overwhelming.
Well, I think that one of the things that is key is not to listen to the naysayers, right? There's a lot of people that are going to tell you can't do something, and you're never going to be able to accomplish this or accomplish that. You're going to be broke, blah, blah, whatever the case may be.
Yep.
They want to keep you small. And that's
Yeah.
why they say it, because they're threatened by you exploring and expanding yourself. I've always believed if you're not growing, you're dying.
Yeah.
That's classic. If you're not, improving yourself in some way or pushing yourself in some way, you're actually going backwards and dying. So you got to keep moving forward. You got to keep pushing yourself, and no matter what, don't listen to what negative Nelly is going to say to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Two things came up when you said that. First, if you look on social media and how many people are in Facebook groups, I'm even thinking how many people are like, don't ever go into hygiene school or don't
Oh, I
go to
know.
dentistry. If we listen to that again, that is going to derail us. Dentistry is an amazing profession.
It is an amazing profession,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't change anything that I have done. Nothing.
Same. And if I listen to naysayers, I don't know how many people told me my idea was stupid. Why would I ever become a yoga therapist? Why would I ever become a yoga teacher? That won't help anyone. That will never come in dentistry. No one will want it. No one needs ergonomics. It doesn't matter. I have been told everything. And at the beginning, I listened a little bit more, and it kept me smaller. It kept me shy. And I don't know. I think it was just time and seeing the evidence in my clients that I worked with and in my own journey that I just stopped listening over and over and flexed that muscle of listening to myself and my intuition. And we know what's right for us and good for us.
Yep, we do. We do. Innately, we know. All
Yep.
right. So who in dentistry inspires you today to do what you're doing? Is there anybody?
Oh my gosh, there's so many people. I think it's a few of my clients that have been in the dental profession and experienced. I've worked with multiple dentists and hygienists that have been in chronic and acute pain for years and almost quit dentistry multiple times. And just implementing some really little things into their routine feel better. But it's not an easy journey to go from pain to every day taking care of yourself, right? They're my inspiration. Them getting out of pain, them sending me pictures of them in practice with their great posture and ergonomics and practicing for the most part pain-free. That's what keeps me going.
That's awesome. All right. Next question. Who has made the most impact on your life?
Three people come to mind. My
Okay.
aunt, who passed away when I was 13, she was like my person. We were really similar, kind of like the black sheep in the family. She gave me her crystals before she passed away. There's something about her that's still with me that even not with me, I do a lot of what I do for her. And then next would be my grandparents for kind of the same reason. They've always been my biggest support and just great people. And then I'd say in dentistry, probably the doctor that I worked for in San Diego. He definitely helped transform me into a much better hygienist and gave me the tools truly and the resources to do that.
Do you want to shout out his name?
Yeah, Dr. LaFave, he's in San Diego.
That's awesome. All right. Have you ever had an aha moment where you realized you were doing exactly what you were meant to do?
Yeah, I have a lot of those. I'm pretty connected to myself now, usually. And I get what I call intuitive hits. Like I got when I was sitting in Op 5, being in pain, and had an idea that I wanted to study therapeutic yoga, which wasn't even a thing at the time. There was a download, like it was a full body reaction. And I actually, in those moments and like years after, probably a few years after, I would actually get visuals of me speaking on a stage, and quiet, shy me was like, puke. I will not do that. How else can I help people? I'll have online programs. I don't have to like be in person. I don't know if there was necessarily one moment, but just like the wins from clients are like, yes, or someone sending me a message and just thanking me for what I do, or for a presentation that I did that I shared my story. And as simple as that, they feel inspired to not quit.
That's awesome. Now, I know that the pain was the pain that you were in earlier, as you discussed, is one of the biggest obstacles you probably had in your life. Are there any other obstacles that you're really proud of overcoming?
Yeah, the pain is one. I would also say, I mean, just based on our conversation today, I started like most of my life was at the beginning. I was quiet. I was a people pleaser. I wanted to make, and I want everyone to be happy. I'm very empathetic. I'm very tuned into people. If I can, I want people to feel comfortable and all of that. But I think the transformation in me truly stepping into my power and my own worth and building that confidence is probably my biggest flex, I might say. Like an internal, no one else needs to know flex. But it took time. It took years probably to build that.
So true. And people don't know the silent journey we're all on, right?
Yeah.
You never know walking by a person what that person is going through or what experiences that they have had in their life that has impacted the way they react to somebody else. And you think, oh, they're just having a bad day. Well, maybe they're having a bad life. Whatever the case may be, we just don't know. So I think having empathy is one, a good thing to have, but also respecting the fact that people do have their own personal journeys to go through in this lifetime.
Yeah. And we all go through different seasons, right,
Yeah.
of our lives, and being okay with that for our patients and being there for them as much as we can, and just understanding, I think is so important. And I think just my journey of my aunt actually committed suicide. The aunt I talked about, she actually committed suicide when I think I was actually 12, not 13. And I've experienced quite a bit of death around me to people that I love deeply, and overcoming that is not easy. And so I think I have a heightened sense of not just empathy but understanding of challenges, and we really don't know what people are going through. And if we can just be kind to people, even if they're being like a little rude, it can go a long way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Couldn't
Yeah.
agree more. So when you're having a tough day, how do you keep yourself in a really good, healthy vibration? Like stay emotionally positive. And what's the best thing? What trick do you have in your back pocket that you bring out when you're starting to have a tough day?
Well, I think it depends. So one thing that came up for me when you asked that is I think one of the most important things and most powerful things is letting me actually feel what's coming up and not ignoring it. And I'll say that with the caveat that we can't be mid-patient and necessarily go cry in the corner, right? Maybe we can if it's that bad, but there's time and place. But letting ourselves actually feel what's going on, feel the frustration, feel the anger, whatever it is, the sadness, and sometimes just letting ourselves deeply feel it allows us to find solutions and to move through it. However, on the other side, when we're with the patient or we're clinic in the day and we have a bad day, I think as much as I can, I just try and focus on the present moment. So in this moment, how can I relax my shoulders? How can I find more ease in my physical body? Or how can I start just taking some deep breaths to be more present and let whatever's here just be there, but like make little adjustments or shifts throughout the day to come back to positivity. Sometimes it's an affirmation. Sometimes it's remembering my why of I want to help these patients feel healthier, not just their mouth, but understanding the connection of the mouth and the whole body. And that's the why. And that's what excites me and reignites me and gets me going. So it depends. I think taking care of myself is probably the biggest thing, and being patient with the journey of not all days are rainbows and butterflies, right?
So true. So true.
Yeah.
Well said. Well said. Do you have a guilty pleasure or a secret dream that you'd like to share with the audience?
I really want to be a part of, I don't know what it looks like, but really changing dentistry and helping dental professionals feel good from the bottom up. So like we talked about programs for schools, but also for all practitioners, not necessarily just dentists and hygienists, but giving tools for the entire team, for dental assistants and front office even, because they struggle just as much sometimes as we do in the back, but they don't have as much, there's not as much statistics on them. There's not as much resources. So really providing tangible things for individuals and teams as a whole. And again, from all the way from school upward. That's
Awesome. That's a great challenge to have in front of you. That's great. Okay, so obviously I assume that doing yoga is your way of managing stress, but is there anything else that you do that helps you manage stress?
Yeah, I would say a daily meditation practice like you, even if it's 1 minute, even if it's taking a few deep breaths, finding people and keeping people in my corner that support me, that allow me to be fully me, which means sharing me and my tears and my mess, that will hold me in that. And there's a few key people in my life that support me like that. I think that is key. Being outside, being in nature is a big one. Even just like I remember at the end of my career, I started as much as I could during lunch breaks to go walk outside. And it's like crazy. If you have I usually saw 5 patients in the morning, 3 in the afternoon, and to get to lunch and we carry all the stuff from the day, and just to get outside and maybe get some vitamin D and sunlight, but just move our body, see nature is a big piece of it.
I agree, except for when you have horseflies following you, your entire walk, buzzing you, nose diving you. And oh my gosh, this morning I came back from my walk. I'm like, yeah, I may have to go to the treadmill because I can't go outside without these horseflies driving me crazy. So
yeah, that's a little bit different. I actually just moved back to the East Coast I was in San Diego for 12 years, and it's like 97 out where I'm at here and so humid. And it's a big difference to go on a walk at lunch with this compared to others.
Now, where are you on the East Coast?
Right now, I'm just staying in New Jersey, but I live technically in Massachusetts on Cape Cod temporarily.
Oh, great. Oh,
yeah.
Awesome. Well, welcome back to the Northeast. I didn't realize you were from the Northeast originally.
I know. Where are you?
Now, I was always in Lexington, Mass, and then bought a house, a second home up in Kennebunkport, Maine. When I moved to Tennessee for a little while, I sold that house and decided I was going to build a house close to my grandchildren. So now I'm in Wolfboro, New Hampshire.
Lovely. I'm actually from Chelmsford, Massachusetts. So very close to you. Yeah. And my dad grew up in Lexington.
No kidding. Oh my God, what a small world, isn't it?
Yeah, that is.
That's awesome. All right. Getting down to the final question. So, personal motto or a mantra that you live by?
Life is short. I tell people that I love them even when I'm mad at them. I give people the benefit of the doubt unless they do me real dirty or do someone real dirty. I think just how can I show up with love and care in the world, not even just in my dental practice, but how can I show up for me? Because it feels so much better when we show up in that way, like holding the door for someone or seeing a grumpy person and smiling and then seeing them like start a little bit of a smile. That makes me really excited. So maybe it's killing people with kindness. I think maybe that's it.
Awesome. Okay. Last question. What piece of advice would you give to a young woman who, one, may be thinking about going into dentistry as a career? Doesn't matter whether it's starting at assisting and going all the way up the ranks or what, but what is the best piece of advice that you would give them that you'd like to share?
I feel like it's everything that we shared in this podcast episode. It's to keep going, to stay in your lane, that it won't always be easy from school all the way wherever you end up on your journey, as if you're a dentist, hygienist, whatever. There will be seasons that are harder than others. And it is so important to continue to come back to your why, your mission, why you're doing it, but also to take care of yourself on the way, to give yourself grace, and to have a support system of some kind that can help lift you up on those challenging days.
Perfect way to end this. And I'll just share a little story with me. One of the reasons that I feel I was blessed with during my dental school career is that I had family and support that took care of my daughter. I had a 5-year-old daughter when I started dental school. And for me, it was, the mom guilt. And, I've shared so many times with students along the way, don't feel guilty because they're watching you and they're watching you pursue your dream. And it's important for them to see you do that because in their world, you're their hero. And someday they're going to come to you and say that. And, and in fact, my daughter is very happy that she grew up with a mom who was driven and motivated because, it made her successful. And she's extremely successful at this point. So I don't want anybody out there who thinks that they can't do something because you have children to negate that. It is important to understand that you can do these things. It is going to be hard, but you don't have guilt about it.
Yeah, I love that you were saying it, and my whole body got chills because it really is. I think so many people either don't go into school or stop when it's hard because, like you said, like your story of being a mom and having kids and feeling guilty, or a dad, or I even just didn't feel confident. I almost gave up so many times in school. I struggled a lot. And if I had given up, if I had listened to the naysayers or just like the worst enemy, which was in my head, I wouldn't be where I am and I wouldn't have been able to create the impact that I have among so many people. So we just really don't know what our journey holds. And like you said, it will be hard. There will be hard days, but it's worth it. Keep going.
Absolutely. Well, Caitlin, I can't thank you enough. So where can people find you? So I always like to end with that. And do you offer online courses so that people, if they're interested, can take them?
Yes. So yes and yes. You can find me. I'm the Aligned Hygienist all over the place. So my website is www.thealignedhygienist.com. I'm on Instagram at The Aligned Hygienist. You can email me hello@thealignedhygienist. And my podcast is surprisingly also The Aligned Hygienist. I love connecting with you. So if this resonated or if I can support you in any way or just want to share something, I love talking with all of you. And then I do have online programs online and in person for individuals or teams. I have an online yoga membership program. It's 150 plus therapeutic yoga classes that are designed for dental professionals. And it's $15.99 a month. It's all on demand. And there's classes that you can do in the operatory, at home. And it's broken down into different areas of the body. So low back, hand, and wrist. So great for people that struggle or want to prevent pain. And then I have an ergonomics and yoga program. It's a coaching program for dental hygienists called Hygiene Well. It's a 3-month program, like deep dive into ergonomics, deep dive into yoga and coaching along the way. And then I do one-on-one assessments or team assessments, team CEs, all of the things.
Awesome. Well, I look forward to seeing you on the road at some future meeting someday, because I know you're going to have a great career in that. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much for listening to the Women in Dentistry podcast with Dr. MJ Hanlon. If you like our show and want to know more about us, check out our website, thewomenindentistry.com, or please leave us a review on iTunes. Join us for our next episode as we bring you another amazing woman leading the way for the next generation.